A lot of those companies, when you start there, they tell you how bad unions are, how much money you got to pay to be in one. And when I heard that, at that point, I knew unions were necessary.
Which side are you on? Which side are you on?
All right, folks, we are back, and I believe that we've got on the line some folks from the Bakery, Confectionery, Tobacco Workers, and Grain Millers International Union. I do not see who we have on the line, but I know we're going to have Cedric Wilson, the president of the local union in Memphis. And who else do we have on the Zoom, Adam?
Looks like we have Zachary Townsend as well as Daryl Copeland.
Zachary Townsend and Daryl Copeland. Daryl, I believe, is one of the strikers up there in Memphis, and Zach Townsend is the Southern Region VP. So we'll go, and is that right? Did I get that right, y'all?
Yes, I'm the Southern Region Vice President.
And I'm Daryl Copeland, international representative for the workers at 390G.
International representative. Sorry about that. Really appreciate all of y'all taking the time to join us. And so, like Cedric has informed y'all, we are doing this to, raise money for your members over there in Memphis. And one of the things that we like to do when we talk to union members, particularly from the South, is, we like to get some biographical information and, as it relates to being a union member, union activist, union organizer in the South. And we can start with you, Zachary, if you don't mind. Haven't had you on the program before. Can you talk to us a little bit about, your background and what got you into the union?
Well, I am originally from North Carolina. I was a worker out of Sunoco Products in Forest Park, Georgia. I was there for 23 years. I started out as a chief steward, and I moved from there to being on the board, and then I went into being the vice president, went into the president, and then to international rep position. After that, I was international rep, and then went to the VP position. But it was all about people. It was all about helping the people that was not able to really help themselves in a time that they most needed it. So it was just it's always been about the people and trying to do better for anybody that doesn't have the voice to do that and say that. It's always that's how it started for me.
North Carolina, I believe, is the state with the lowest union density in the country. What was it like coming up in North Carolina? I didn't realize that's where you were from. Coming up in North Carolina and being a union worker and then a representative there.
Well, it was a tough situation. I'm from North Carolina. I actually moved to Georgia probably 30 years ago, but it was still the Deep South. And when you talk about the Deep South, whether you're in North Carolina, South Carolina, or Georgia, it's a tough situation for a right to work state. They want to take away a lot of the things that they offer in states that's up north. And it's just a whole different situation. The demographics make a difference for a lot of situations in the South, in North Carolina, South Carolina. It was really hard because people are so afraid in the South because we just don't have, as you said before, we just don't have a lot of a union mentality there like you have in the North. It's a lot harder thing to organize in the South because it's scary for most people. When you get a decent job where they feel that they're making, a decent wage, they don't want to really rock the boat. They don't want to really push for things that's important to most people that know about unions. And we're trying to change that in the South. We're trying to change that because now we're really finding ourselves falling back even further than we were years and years ago. Companies are coming after things that we didn't have to fight for because it was a good job. Now they want to take away to increase their profits and increase their greed. So it's just harder. It's harder in the South. But it's just something we're going to have to really push. And hopefully the younger people will really see what's happening to them, and they'll see that this is a necessary fight, that we're going to have to do this, or the younger people coming behind them, it's going to be a terrible thing for them in the future.
Absolutely. That's no argument here. That's completely right. And there's definitely reason to hope. I'm sure that you've seen the polls, just like everybody, that unions have record high approval rating, and among under 30, their unions have an 88% approval rating. So we've got to turn that passive approval into active organization. That's kind of that's the task before us. Daryl, what about you? Can you talk to us some about your background?
Yes. So I started off at Mondelez, which is formerly Nabisco, in Atlanta, Georgia. So I worked in that plant for 10 years before I actually transitioned to the local level. So when I was at Nabisco, I was actually a packing operator. So I'm familiar with the industry, the bakery industry. And I was a steward as well. So my goal was to help people. I was organizing events, basketball games, softball games, and I went over to the local level, started learning a little bit more about the union as well. And that's what really got me in. I actually worked up under VP Townsend. He trained me. I did a lot of work up under him. From the local level, I was a organizer at the local level, and then moved to the international level as a organizer, and now international representative. So I cover, the southern region, Georgia, Florida, all the southern states, Tennessee. So that's my background. I'm all about helping people, making sure we can do everything and fight the good fight. Like I said, I was a union rep in the plant, and I was also a union member. So I know what it is to see supervisors not treat people right. So I want to make sure I can do everything I can to fight for the workers.
Just for my own edification, you mentioned that you cover, the entirety of the South. I am, not only do I do a union radio program here, I'm a union member here in Alabama, and I'm an officer of the Labor Council in North Alabama. Do y'all have any locals in Alabama?
So right now, we don't have any locals in Alabama. We had a shop in Alabama years ago, but right now, I don't think we have any in Alabama. Is that right, Zach? Yeah, not right now.
All right. Well, if you ever need, if y'all ever work to change that, holler at us and we'll do what we can.
Oh yeah. Thank you.
Cedric, you've been on the program before, at least once. You recently talked to Lonnie Lee Hood for an article in the Tennessee Lookout. But before we go into, the specifics of the situation, the strike today, can you talk to us a little bit about your background and what, activated you to want to become somebody that's running for union office and doing things on behalf of your members and being an active union member?
Yeah. Well, I started one of my first major jobs coming out of college and high school, whatever, where it's at a place in Mississippi where it was just a big shipping and receiving company where, one of the biggest moments I had there was that they acquired a new company that got billions and billions of dollars of new product. And, a lot of us workers were asking, well, what about us? What are we going to get? And the plant manager told us, well, you're already getting a living wage. Well, at the time I was making $12 an hour. I'm like, living where,
Right.
So at that point, a lot of those companies, when you start there, they tell you how bad unions are and how much money you got to pay to be in one. And when I heard that, at that point, I knew unions were necessary. So when I left that job and got the job here, I am here now. And I've actually had family that's been union officers. So it's kind of an easy process for me.
There you go. There you go. I've got one more question, and then we'll start talking about the strike. Back to Townsend. You mentioned that you moved to Georgia 30 years ago, and you were from South Carolina, a union member in South Carolina. I'm sure 30 years plus in the labor movement, you've got an inordinate amount of stories. I know, talking to a bunch of folks, that even if you've been doing union work for about a year, you're going to have a couple of stories. Is there anything that comes to your mind immediately that you think would be something that the audience would enjoy hearing, or something that illustrates the power of a union that you'd be able to share?
Well, I love organizing. And I can tell you one of the most gratifying times of my career is when we were in Dothan, Alabama, and there was a peanut plant in Dothan, Alabama, Golden Peanut, that we were there, and they called us, and it was probably 10 years ago. They called us, and they told us that they felt like they were treated like they were on a plantation. And these weren't just young workers. These were workers that were, some of them, most of them, over 55 years old. But this is the only life that they had known. But they stepped out and they took a chance on us, and they called us. And this was a 1-year process, and we went down there, and to my surprise, I saw some things there in Alabama that I really couldn't believe. It was things that was happening to these people at this plant, and it would automatically, for most people, make them feel that they would want to have a union and they would want to have a voice in a workplace. But in these people's mind, even though they were only making, some of them $12 an hour, some of them $17 an hour, they thought this was the greatest thing that they'd ever been a part of, because that was their whole livelihood. And once we got in there and found out some of the things and asked for, we had informational requests for these people. We found that some of the people that had been there 30 years was making $5 and $6 less than people walking in the door.
Wow.
Some people were in there that they would walk into the office and they couldn't go to the office bathrooms. They had to walk 3 blocks to a bathroom. I mean, simple things like that I couldn't believe was still going on in this day and time. Was so gratifying to actually have these people come and organize. And I can tell you, once we had the vote. They had us not go to the place that they always meet for the employees. They wanted us to walk almost 3/4 of a mile away from there just so they can walk. And they told the people, if you wanted to do it, we want you to walk over there so we can see who you are, because they knew that they were so afraid that they may not do that. But it was so gratifying to watch those people, young and old, leave from their 20-minute lunch breaks to go over to this place that was 3 blocks away to vote. And I'm telling you, we had that vote, we won that vote, and those people stood in the circles, held hands and prayed and cried because they couldn't believe themselves that they had taken this step. But that's probably the most gratifying and rewarding thing that I've experienced, watching those people take control of their livelihoods.
That's awesome. I really appreciate that, and that's why I like to ask those open-ended questions from folks who have been doing it for a while. There's always a lot of good stuff. So Cedric, we're here today because y'all been on strike now since June. Yeah. So going on, we're over 5 months. won't be long before we're at 6 months. And y'all had been working under an expired contract for a year. So y'all are been bargaining this contract for like 2 years. Is that right?
Yes, sir. Pretty much.
That is wild. So talk to us about what are the sticking points right now?
Yeah. So, like I said, we haven't even really gotten to what we want as far as negotiations. I mean, most of it is just takeaways. One of them being after 8 overtime. The next biggest one being a 30-day notice on benefits and paid breaks. So those three things are, right now we have a year notice on benefits, so they can wait a year and take things away or add. So it's just things that we already
Yeah, and I just want to expand a little bit so folks understand. Folks understand that the law is that if you work over 40 hours in a week, you have to get time and a half. Well, a lot of unions have put it in their contract to try to protect, the sanctity of the 8-hour day, right? Not just the 40-hour week, but the 8-hour day. A lot of unions have put it in their contract that, you're going to, and they'll call it different things. You're going to have to pay a premium for us to work over 8 hours, or you'll have to pay a penalty for work over 8 hours. Whatever it is, the effect is the same, and that is if you work over 8 hours in one day, doesn't matter how many hours you work in a week, but in one day, if you go over 8 hours, that 9th hour is time and a half. And that's what these workers had in their contract, and that is one of the things that the company has come to the table to try to take away. Again, amid all this record inflation, they're a profitable company, and they're coming asking for concessions. And the other thing that you mentioned was the benefits. They want to go from being able to change benefit plans with a year's notice to a 30-day notice within the contract. So these are, really absolutely wild things. I just wanted folks to understand. Folks to understand the significance of these concessions that they're asking for. Back to you.
Yeah. And I wanted to reiterate, you kind of put it very elegant yourself, but the overtime after 8 is not about the money. It's more about the time,
Right.
Because, at the end of the day, if you want us to work 40 hours a week and send us home, nobody would argue. But if you want me to stay over, I should be compensated. And it's just that simple. I would love to be around my family. I got 2 sons that play sports. I got a wife that has a lot of activities going on. I like to spend time with them and go to church with them and do things with them. You want to send me home? Hey, fine. I'll go home gracefully. Mm-hmm. But if you're going to make me stay, again, I should be compensated. It's that simple. And even at other places that don't have overtime after 8, there's something else. For example, premium pay on weekends. You don't have that. I know some companies, they have free insurance. Some companies make a lot more money. There's always something else to replace that. And we currently don't have that, so we're fighting to keep it.
Right. Yeah, those are really, really important. And I noticed that when the Tennessee Lookout, and maybe I can just find this article and pull it up, but when the Tennessee Lookout wrote this article, when Lonnie wrote the article, the company responded with something like, y'all are saying misinformation about overtime, and we have always committed to doing overtime after 40 hours. And it's like, that's the law. Like, you can't not do that, actually.
Right.
And so
it's actually a tactic they use throughout the negotiations, that they're pretending that they're offering something new. Right. For example, they try to say, hey, they'll put a statement out saying we're offering extensive coverage as far as healthcare benefits, and when you look at it, it's things that we already have.
Right.
It's just named differently.
Hey, 5 seconds. Just wanted to say that this is only possible because of our donors. If you want to see more of this, then consider donating yourself at tvlr.fm/donate.
Yeah, it really is We have, here it is. We have implemented our proposal offering overtime pay. We're offering overtime pay. It's like, no, guys, you have to do it. You don't have a choice. You got to do overtime pay. It's wild the things that these companies will just say without any sort of, compunction or guilt or shame or anything like that. But yeah, so and like you said, those are just the concessions, and y'all haven't even really been able to get to, things that your members would like to have to try to work to improve the workplace.
Right. Yeah, I mean, a lot of the proposals that we had like you said, it improved the workplace. It doesn't really change our lives one way or another. It actually makes things easier. For example, training department. We wanted to make it easier for people to bid on jobs. People to know more information about the job they're bidding on. They just couldn't come to an agreement on that. We couldn't even agree on changing names in the contract.
Yeah,
because of the recent, acquiring of IFL.
And so y'all have been on strike now since June. How are your members? How are your members doing on the line?
I think most of us are doing okay. I think the thing that motivates us is anger. The feeling of being disrespected. And it keeps us going. No matter how hard things get at home or what kind of trouble you're in financially, medically, or anything like that. The anger towards how we're being treated. Because again, we got people who are 20, 30. Myself, I'm a 10-year vet. 20, 30, even 40-year vets that, have been loyal to this place and have given their lives to this place. And then all of a sudden, some new guy that's been there for 2 years tell you ain't worth a damn.
Right. The new guy being the management, right?
Right.
Yeah. It's just really, really sad state of affairs. And so what about the community support? How much of that have y'all been seeing?
Oh, the community has been awesome. I mean, especially the congressmen and the state reps. Justin Pearson has been out there. A lot of the mayoral candidates that's been out there. They've been out there supporting. We actually had a big time dinner. I want to spend a special shout out to Mayor Lee Harris of Shelby County. He came out and gave us a big dinner out on the line and did a good news conference to get us some publicity here. So yeah, I just definitely want to thank those guys, especially the AFL-CIO locally here, specifically Kevin Bradshaw and Patricia Baker. They've been very vital to some of the support that we've been getting.
That's awesome. That's great to hear. And if if any of them are, I don't know how close in contact y'all are with them, but if they'd like to call in and talk about, why they are supporting y'all, we've definitely got some time, and we can make some time. So, for y'all, Townsend and Copeland, how, what has this been like, having to, try to negotiate with this kind of obstinate, really obstinate company?
Well, for me, it's been a difficult thing for me, but I hate seeing what it's doing to the employees there that's given so much to this company and love what they do, and they want to just ask for the simple things that people on regular jobs get and have. So it's hard for me to see these people go through the struggles of just life and just wanting basic health care, wanting basic things for their kids, being able to just pay for college and just pay for daycare and food and worried about Christmas. And it's hard for me to see that what we have to really argue about and negotiate for with all that they've given to this company. I know that, and I'll let Daryl speak for the things that's going on in the community, because he's been great with all of the different activities to try to keep them uplifted and motivated. But it's one of the hardest things, probably one of the longest ones that we've been through, because they are so greedy and so disrespectful to these workers. I mean, it is difficult. Daryl, I guess you can speak on some of the things that we've been doing as far as community-wise with what we're doing to keep them motivated. You can speak on that, but yeah, it is hard just because of the loyalty that these people. Miss Effie, I think of her, older lady that's on that line and dedicated to this company, and talked about how she raised people that's been there 20 years, how she raised them, and they come on the line, strike 9, and she said, "Hey, that's one of my babies. I taught them, what they knew. I was here when they first got here. I taught them how to do this and what to do to make the line run, this and that." I mean, it's a sad thing to see.
Yeah.
And to kind of piggyback off of what Zach was saying, 7 months ago was the first time I met, really met and sat down and talked with President Cedric. So, and we met each other and we kind of talked a little bit, but once I got assigned on this campaign, it became personal to me to see, the workers and talk to the workers and hear their stories. And, I walk the line with them and we do chants together and I know about their kids. So I want to do everything I can to make sure that we win this fight. So as far as the community engagement, we actually did a rally a couple weeks ago, a joint rally with UAW at Overtake Park in Memphis. And that was a great event. Like Cedric said, we had a lot of politicians that came out. It was great community support. I think it was near 150 to 200 supporters out there at that event. So that was awesome. We also did rallies in front of the plant. It's almost standing room only when we have the events. So everybody come out from the CWA to the UAW. You have the Teamsters always come out and support us. So we getting the support from the unions and the CLC. Kevin Bradshaw, big shout out again, what he's doing. And also the International. The International has played a big role in making sure that they've been doing everything to do everything that we got to do to keep the fight going. President Shelton came to the line and made a statement to all the workers and said, hey, we're going to fight until the end. So it don't matter how long the fight is going to be, we're going to fight. So that's our job, is to organize the unorganized and to keep the BCTGM going as much as we can. And we're going to support the workers. So right now, what we got coming up on November 17th, and the flyer will be coming out soon, we're going to have a job fair for the workers because it is getting close to the holidays. And I feel like the company is pushing to keep the workers out past the holidays, so they can, feel the stress of, the financial stress. So, and we also having so it'll be a job fair for the workers so they can find, supplemental income while we still wait out and keep fighting. And also Christmas is coming up. So one of the workers actually created a GoFundMe, and we're going to organize a huge toy drive for all the workers and their families for this Christmas. So I think that's going to be huge. And we got all the information that we can share with you guys so you can put it out there. Well, we're going to be there for the end of the fight, and the workers are going to win. Said he's a great leader. He's a young man, but he's a great leader, and he's been doing everything to keep his people motivated and, keep the morale going. And that's one of my jobs. I go to the line, I talk to the people. Like I said, I share my stories and they share their stories, and, so.
I've really appreciated what I've seen from Cedric myself. I'm a younger fellow, but doing the radio, I've been able to talk to a lot of folks, and so I've really appreciated the leadership from him, and the enthusiasm and the commitment that is really easy to see. And you mentioned the toy drive that y'all are going to have. Hopefully, we're going to have a pretty good bit of money that y'all can decide kind of what you want to do with it, whether you want to put that towards your toy drive or not. And on that, just to keep folks in the loop, we have already raised about $1,400. $1,400 right now on our tvlr.fm/strike fundraiser is where you can donate. After the stream is over, we will be getting with the individual unions and getting some of their bank information to disperse that payment. Currently, we have a first goal of $5,000, and we are hoping to significantly break that. Last time we did this, we were able to raise $70,000 for the striking coal miners in Brookwood, Alabama, 2 years ago. So would love to be able to match that, or something, something close to it would be really great. But personally, my internal goal is something like $10,000 is what I would really like to be able to do. So you can buy a pretty good bit of toys with that. So so hopefully we'll be able to get a good haul for you. And for the folks that are listening on YouTube, tvlr.fm/strike fundraiser is a better way to donate. People have been sending in super chats, and we will be donating all of the super chats that we get during the stream to the strike funds, but YouTube takes 30, 40, 50%, I'm not sure, but YouTube takes a lot of the money that you send through a super chat, and so much more of the money is not taken by a third party, whatever, if you go through tvlr.fm/strike fundraiser. So I'm also really happy to hear that y'all have gotten so much support from the local elected officials. That is
Absolutely
much different than we saw with the coal miners here in Alabama, even among the Democrats, which was just shocking to me. It seems like y'all's Democratic politicians up in Tennessee, whatever people's other criticisms of them may or may not be, they are interested in, supporting y'all on strike and bringing attention to your struggle and that kind of stuff, and that is really, really great to see. We did not, I have not seen anywhere near that amount of proactive support for labor from Democrats in Alabama. So I was really happy to hear that.
Well, it was it's one of those things, man. Around here, there's been a lot of strikes going on, a lot of workers' movements going on, and I think they see that, and I think they see the opportunity to, I don't want to say cash in. It's kind of a messed up statement, but we are the constituents,
right?
And we are, I told one politician one time, like, hey, man, I got 150 members locally that could kill you,
right?
So you need to get out here and see what's going on with us,
Mm-hmm.
and then we've got a great response based on it.
Yep,
That's
absolutely.
awesome.
Yeah, that's really, really great to hear. Cedric, can you talk to us some about the working conditions that y'all, you alluded to it a little bit, but, not only do y'all regularly have to work over 8 hours in a day, but y'all also have had to work, more than 40 hours in a week, right?
Oh yeah. There's some folks out there that have worked upwards of 72 hours a week. Lately, the last few years or so, we've had, especially during COVID, we had a shortage in hiring. So that it's one of those things. The way our job is set up, most of us are not replaceable. Our schedule is like four people per area. So if I were to call in, the only way we can cover is the person who's in on first shift. Like, say I'm on second shift, person's on first shift has to stay over, person's on third shift has to come in early. And there's only one other person at home that's capable. If he doesn't answer the phone, you could be working 16. So that happens a lot, And one of the things that happens as a result of that is, some of the supervisors, they become complacent with you being that. So they don't even try to call you really. So you just get stuck working at 16. And that happens a lot. We do have language in our contract that prevents you from working more than 3 of those in a row. But, working 3 16s in a row, pretty common.
Right. Yeah. That's just awful. Really, I have only had to do that once in my life, and not interested in doing it again. I went down to support recovery efforts in New Orleans after Hurricane Ida. Did 712s for about a month. That's for the birds. It's not fun.
Oh yeah, 12 is like normal.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Not
12
fun.
is pretty normal.
And so because y'all do that, I mean, that's a huge sacrifice. Like, people just don't think about, it's not understood enough. Time is really like the most valuable asset that you have. And so there's a lot of sacrifice to your physical health, your emotional health, your mental health, and your the relationships that you have with your family, being gone for that amount of time every week. It's just really, really, it's a huge sacrifice. And the idea that the company is wanting to take away some of the premiums that they have to pay for that sacrifice is really, really disgusting. What kind of work do you actually do once you're in the factory?
Yeah, so what we do is we extract soy protein from the soybean flake. But the main thing that we have to do is prevent it from having any bacteria. So I'm a dry operator. So my main focus is to kill any micro in the protein that we extract. We do that through hot steam, what they call a HACCP point. We use, like I said, we use very hot steam and upwards of 300 to 320 degrees to kill all those microbes. And we use very hot towers to continue that process. So by the time it gets to the customer, it's bacteria free. The main bacteria that we fight against is salmonella, being a hot food.
Yep. All right. Well, that sounds like not a whole lot of fun. So you just
Sounds like a tough job.
Sounds like a tough job. Yeah.
It is a tough job, but it's one of those things that we take pride in, right? Because like I said, we got 20, 30, 40-year vets, and they take pride in it. So, the last thing you want to see, especially with us making the bill and insure, is our elderly and our babies getting sick.
Right.
So it's one of those things that you have to take your time and learn and get good at, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Because, the products you're putting out, people are consuming, and, people's safety are on the line. And so, yeah, it's really important what you do. It's tough work. And, I just wanted to say how much we appreciate all of y'all for the fight that you're fighting. Appreciate all the folks who are tuning in this morning, who have contributed already. That's what solidarity is all about. It's about showing up for one another, supporting one another when we have a struggle. Even if it's not your struggle, you can see where it's connected and where working people are fighting the good fight. We need to support them. And so, Cedric and all of you, I really appreciate, your time this morning and all you're doing to fight for these members.
Yep. Adam, do you have any other questions for them?
I don't. Just that's all I wanted to say is just I really appreciate it. We're sending our love and solidarity from North Alabama. We're looking forward to raising as much money as we can over the next 31 and a half hours or so, and look forward to helping out this Christmas with your rank and file members for sure.
Yep. Is there anything else that any of y'all would like to say before we let you go?
Yes, I would like to just thank you guys for your support again from the BCTGM International, because this right here is what brings about attention nationally to this fight for the people that's fighting for the things that not only for them, but for what's going to happen in the future for other people, because we know that corporate greed is not going to stop. And they aren't going to stop going after the workers and taking away from the workers. And it's programs like this that we appreciate so much that brings about attention to the fight that's necessary. So I just want to thank you guys again from the International BCTGM for all that you do. Thanks again.
And
Yeah.
and also I want to definitely my wife lost her brother. He's a veteran. She lost her brother in Iraq or whatever. So I want to definitely give a shout out to veterans. Praise to the veterans, because companies like IFF they don't respect the veterans. We got veterans on the line, and they don't respect the workers. So I want to make sure, the time that the workers have served and the veterans have served and the sacrifice they made and the freedoms, and including the freedoms, the right to strike, that's some of the freedoms that they fought for. So I wanted to make sure that I give a special shout out and praise to the veterans, with it being Veterans Day tomorrow.
Yeah, I also want to throw something in there. The fight doesn't stop with us, right? You mentioned something earlier about, union participation being low in the South. If there's any jobs out there that's feeling down and feeling like they're being disrespected, I know BCTGM, and I can speak from experience because they've been very supportive of our cause as far as international. I am 100% positive that they're willing to go to whatever job you have to try to help you organize because, from what I'm going through here at IFF, it is a necessity. It is an absolute necessity to be unionized. Jobs aren't good without it. Most of my workers that have gone out and found other jobs and other things to do, they come back and they tell me, man, I see what it looks like not to have a union. And it's one of those things that I'm proud to be a part of BCTGM. And, President Shelton and Zach here and David Woods, they've been very supportive. And, to a few others, especially Daryl and Jason Thomas, man, they've been very supportive of us, very helpful. And I appreciate it. And I love them guys.
All right. Thank y'all for your time this morning. Really appreciate it. Feel free to share the stream link around. We're going to be, like I said, going to be going for about 32 hours, and we are going to open up the phone lines every now and then. So if anybody, any of your members from your striking local or any other locals, they want to call in and chat and talk about unions or really anything, we got a lot of time to fill. So happy to talk to anybody that wants to chat. So really appreciate y'all's time. Keep up the good fight, and solidarity forever.
Thank you.
All right. Thank you.
You just saw a clip from the Valley Labor Report. We are live every Saturday morning from 9:30 a.m. till 12:30 p.m. And we pride ourselves on keeping all of our content free to everybody so that we can talk to as many working folks as possible. If you support the work that we're doing, you think that it's important, you think that it's good, then consider making a monthly contribution to the project, and you can do that on our website, tvlr.fm.